What's up, everyone? So, yes, I am here in my garage, and we're going to be doing Dhana Yoga today through my garage because, as I told you yesterday, there's construction and cleaning going on, and my house is just a mess, especially my studio living room where I usually shoot my stuff. And I'm just way too lazy to go outside somewhere to shoot because I had a very, very long night partying. Very long night. It was quite a long night, so I'm just exhausted. So, Dhana Yoga. What is Dhana Yoga? Well, it's a combination to become wealthy in life. That's what Dhana Yoga is. For all the non-Indian people who do not know this. And so, the wealth combination. You guys want to know what it takes to become wealthy in life or live a comfortable lifestyle. Like Dhana Yoga doesn't really mean that you're going to be a billionaire or multi-millionaire. It shows that you're going to have enough money to fulfill all your desires. It may be more than that, but if you can fulfill your desire in 100,000 versus $1 million, you'll get the 100,000. So the chart fulfills the wishes. Now, if it's a really great karma that you have acquired, you may get $1 billion, way more than what you need. Okay, so that's what Dhana Yoga is. And Dhana Yoga is seen, and Dhana Yoga occurs through the first house, which is your ascendant, second house, which is your savings and your wealth and your family lineage and family history, fifth house, which is speculative business, creativity, art, performing art, academics, and speculative business like sports betting, stock market, any kind of speculative business. And ninth house, which is of higher learning, it's your luck pretty much. It shows coming in contact with very spiritual people, and it's overall fortune of your life. And the 11th house of fulfillment of desires, incoming gains, like whatever you do through your career, how much gain will you get through it, is seen from the 11th house. So these 5 houses, first, second, fifth, ninth, and 11th house, and their combination creates a Dhana Yoga. So anytime first, second, fifth, ninth, and 11th lords in your horoscope are related to each other, exchanging places, aspecting each other, single aspect to each other, conjunction creates a Dhana Yoga. So let's say if your second house is placed into the 7th, and if your second lord is placed into the 11th house, that's a Dhana Yoga. If second lord and 11th lord are exchanging places, that's a Dhana Yoga. Same thing with other houses. So if second lord is in 5th house, that's a Dhana Yoga. 5th house in the second house, it's a Dhana Yoga. Exchange between the 5th and the 6th lord is a Dhana Yoga. Same thing with 5th and 9th house. 5th and 9th house exchanging places to each other. Or 5th house lord is in the 9th house, or 9th house lord is sitting in the 5th house, that creates a Dhana Yoga. Then you can do Dhana Yoga between 5th and 11th house, mutual exchange, or one of them are sitting in these houses. So pretty much all of these lords sitting in any one of these houses, that's one Dhana Yoga. And then the second is when they're mutually sitting in each other's houses. Or second lord is sitting in the 9th house and 11th lord is sitting in the 5th house. Those creates 2 Dhana Yogas. So you can get a lot of Dhana Yogas, not just one Dhana Yoga. You'll have like 5 different Dhana Yogas in your horoscope. So you have to see that. And then if there's a conjunction of any one of these lords, so if the ascendant lord and 11th lord are in conjunction in any house, it creates a Dhana Yoga. If second lord or 5th lord are in conjunction in any house, creates a Dhana Yoga. It's if 11th lord and the 9th lord are sitting together in a conjunction in any house, that creates a Dhana Yoga. But then how do you get that wealth? How do you make that big money? So let's say if the second lord, or let's say if your ascendant lord and the 11th lord are in conjunction in the 4th house, that shows what? That you yourself will acquire your gains through things related to the 4th house, which is what? Real estate, land, vehicles, cars, conveniency. So anything related to fourth house matter will create wealth, including home decoration. So if this is occurring in the fourth house and you are a creative person and you're thinking of going into interior decoration, that can create wealth for you because you are related to the fourth house. Or you can have a home-based business related to the fourth house matter. That's one way of looking at a yoga. So any one of these houses are in conjunction in any house, your wealth will come through those houses. So let's say if second house and the fifth house are in conjunction in the eighth house. What does that mean? Sudden inheritance. Somebody suddenly leaves you money. Sudden lottery winning. Okay, so this is why, and it's been tested. People who have won lotteries had the connection of fifth and eighth house and the second house conjunction of the Dhana Yoga. So sudden up in life. Like suddenly they just won a lottery and a lot of money. Now another Dhana Yoga that can occur is if second lord or is in conjunction with any of the other Dhana Yoga houses lords in any of the houses. And if you notice, Deepak Chopra has the second house lord, which is Jupiter, the sign of Pisces, sitting in the ninth house of higher learning and of higher philosophical and spiritual learning. And second house represents what? Your vocal cord, your speaking ability. And it's sitting in the ninth house. So his wealth came through public speaking regarding spirituality and regarding religion and, just consciousness. That's how his wealth came. So this is how you can judge how the wealth will be coming in. Now, another Dhana Yoga happens, which is a lower kind of Dhana Yoga, is when Lord of the first, second, fifth, ninth, and 11th are giving a single-sided aspect to the Lord of the first, second, fifth, ninth, or 11th. So let's say if the 11th house is in the fifth house, okay? That's one yoga, okay? But let's say if the 11th house Lord is in the 10th house, but that 11th house Lord is being aspected by a planet. So let's say Mars, okay? So let's say Mars, for Cancer ascendant, Mars rules the fifth house of speculative business, of, winning through gambling. Like entertainment business, you gamble by producing a movie. Okay, so that planet is sitting in the seventh house. And then this 11th house Lord, which is Venus, sitting in the 10th house. So how is this creating a Dhana Yoga? Well, because Mars always looks at 4 places away from itself. So from 7th house, Mars is looking at the 10th house. And it's throwing off a single-sided aspect to Venus because Venus only looks at directly opposite to itself. So which will be the 4th house. It cannot look at Mars. So Mars is throwing its single-sided aspect to Venus, which is creating a Dhana Yoga. However, it's a lesser of a Dhana Yoga. It's not like a real powerful Dhana Yoga. Powerful Dhana Yoga is if there's a conjunction with any one of these houses in the actual wealth houses. That's the most powerful Dhana Yoga. Second one, like I said, mutual exchange of places. That's another powerful Dhana Yoga. Or a conjunction of planets of these houses occurring in a certain house, you will gain wealth through those things. Okay, so if 11th Lord and 9th Lord are sitting together in the 5th house, your wealth will come through speculative business or will come through entertainment, creativity. So that's how you judge these things. And when do these yoga become active is when their Mahadasha of that planet and Antardasha of the other planet comes into play. That's when they get activated. Or if Mahadasha of one of the planets creating the Dhana Yoga, Mahadasha comes, that creates the activation of bringing the money. But a single-sided aspect is another way that creates a Dhana Yoga, but which is the lowest level of Dhana Yoga. But it does give Dhan, okay? So you can have like 4 or 5 different types of Dhana Yoga in your horoscope. You can have the first Lord, you can have the second Lord sitting in the 2nd house, 5th Lord sitting in the 5th house, 9th Lord sitting in the 9th house, 11th Lord sitting in the 11th house. That is creating 4 different Dhana Yogas. Then you have the Ascendant Lord sitting somewhere in these houses. That'll create 5 different types of yoga. And Dhana Yogas are also seen from the Namansha chart, D9 chart. D9 chart definitely has, you should definitely look at all the yogas. Raj Yogas, Dhan Yoga, Arishta Yoga, Gaj Kesari Yoga, all of these yogas. Arishta Yoga is more of a misfortune. But Dhan Yoga, Raj Yoga, Gaj Kesari Yoga, Parivartan Yoga, all these yogas should always be seen from the D9 chart, because if you don't have it in your D1 chart and your D9 chart has it, then it shows that your wealth will activate after marriage, and it will activate through your wife, and it will happen either through speculative business, through business with your husband or wife, through real estate, through your actual career in government, or will happen through like higher learning, getting a PhD and suddenly getting a huge job. So if ninth house is creating a Dhana Yoga in the D1 or D9 chart, it can show somebody who gets a lot of wealth through higher learning. So somebody becomes an engineer, somebody becomes a professor, a PhD counselor, then they make their money. So that's how a Dhana Yoga is seen. But these 5 houses, the ascendant, 2nd, 5th, 9th, and 11th house, always have to be involved with each other for that yoga to occur. And then the Mahadasha and Antardasha needs to come in to activate that yoga. Okay. So guys, this was my little analysis of Dhana Yoga. We'll discuss more of Dhana Yoga with examples later down the line. So if you're new to my channel, subscribe below where you see the subscribe button. And if you want to know if you have Dhana Yoga, if you have the combination of wealth and it will activate, check out the link below in the description section and check out my book there, Astrology, the Speed of Light. And when you get the book, I will send you the link to look at your own chart so you can see if you have the yoga and when will it occur, and make sure you look at this yoga in the D9 chart as well. All right, see ya. What? You actually made it this far into the video? All the way to the end? Man, you must be crazy! Well, since you're already crazy enough to go this far, then might as well join the insanity by clicking that little button above where it says subscribe here, or you can subscribe below by that little button that you see below the video. And like I told you, if you want to know where your planets are placed, where your conjunctions are, what aspects you're receiving, what planetary time period you're running through, check out this corner link below. Okay, read the directions there, because when you get the book, my Astrology at the Speed of Light book, and you follow the directions by sending me the email, I send you the link to look at your own chart so you can study everything about you. And if you want to read some more articles on astrology and every little details that I've written on my website, check out this corner link below. And this will take you to my website and to my article page where I've written tons of stuff. Okay? Otherwise, we'll see you tomorrow with some more insane video. Bye-bye.